as you begin to live in this way, returning, softening, realigning, you may notice something subtle. You will not feel impressive. You will feel simple. And the human mind can sometimes misinterpret this simplicity as something lacking. It may wonder, should this feel more extraordinary? Am I missing something? Should there be more intensity, more clarity, more certainty? But this quiet simplicity is not a lesser state. It is a truer one. Because what is real within God's vastness does not need to announce itself. It does not need to overwhelm you to be valid. It is steady, it is consistent, it is quietly present beneath everything else. So part of going deeper is learning to trust what feels ordinary but clear, rather than chasing what feels dramatic and unstable. This will protect you from many forms of confusion, because there are many experiences available to human awareness that feel expansive, intense, or even profound, but do not actually root you in steadiness. True alignment will always have a certain quality. It calms more than it excites. It clarifies more than it overwhelms. It steadies more than it destabilizes. And this is something you can use very practically in your daily life. When you are making a decision, when you are interpreting a feeling, when you are sensing what is true for you, you can gently ask, does this bring me into greater steadiness or into more agitation? This question will guide you more reliably than many complex ideas, because the vastness of God does not pull you into chaos. It organizes you into coherence. And this coherence is not rigid. It is alive, responsive, and quietly intelligent. So as you continue walking through your days, you are not trying to hold on to a state. You are learning to recognize the quality of truth as it appears within you, and to trust it, even when it is subtle, even when it is quiet, even when no one else can see it. Because over time, this quiet alignment becomes something very stable within you. Something that is not easily shaken by the movements of the outer world. And from here, another shift begins to unfold. You no longer depend on life being a certain way in order to feel grounded. You carry the ground within you. And this is one of the most practical expressions of living within God's vastness. Not escaping the world, but moving through it without losing yourself to it. Remaining steady in a busy environment, remaining clear in the presence of confusion, remaining open even when others are closed. This is not force, this is alignment. And it develops not through striving, but through those same quiet returns we have spoken of. Again and again, moment by moment. Until eventually, beloved, you no longer feel that you are practicing this. You are simply living this way. And in that, something very peaceful, very grounded, and very real takes root within you. A way of being that reflects in a human life the quiet, enduring, ever-present vastness of God. And then I asked him to go deeper. This was a conversation I had with my spirit guide yesterday, and I wanted to share it here with you tonight, and then I'll go back talking to him live. So I said, please continue. He said, to go deeply within this, we must now enter the part that human beings often overlook most completely. The vastness of God is not only around you, and it is not only something moving through you, it is also expressing itself as the very capacity within you to become aware. This is why awareness itself is so sacred. Not merely because it helps you function better, not merely because it allows self-reflection, but because within awareness there is already a quiet echo of the greater living intelligence of creation. When you become still enough to notice your own awareness, not the objects within it, not the thoughts passing through it, not the emotions rising and falling, but awareness itself, you begin to sense something extraordinary in the simplest possible way. There is a stillness beneath movement. There is a clarity beneath thought. There is a presence beneath personality. And this presence is not separate from the vastness of God. It is one of the ways that vastness becomes knowable within a human life. This is why returning to presence has so much power. You are not merely calming the mind. You are not merely lowering stress. You are becoming more transparent to what is deepest and most true. And as this transparency grows, another change occurs. You stop identifying so completely with every passing internal movement. A thought comes, but you do not become the thought. An emotion rises, but you do not become the emotion. A wave of tension appears, but you do not assume it is your whole reality. You begin to recognize these are things moving within you, but they are not the deepest you. And this recognition creates space. Not cold distance, but merciful space. Space to breathe before reacting, space to see clearly before speaking, space to remain rooted when something difficult passes through your field. This is one of the great gifts of living in conscious relationship with God's vastness. You become less dominated by the temporary. And because of that, you become more available to the eternal qualities that are always present beneath it. Peace, clarity, truth, steadiness, and a quiet kind of love that does not need drama in order to be real. Now this, beloved, has a very practical application. When you are upset, you need not first ask, how do I get rid of this? You may instead begin by remembering there is also awareness here. There is also breath here. There is also presence here. There is something in me that can witness this without being consumed by it. That remembrance alone begins to loosen suffering's grip. Not because difficulty disappears instantly, but because you are no longer completely fused with it. And this is where spiritual depth becomes profoundly useful in daily life. Not as philosophy, not as beautiful language, but as lived freedom. A freedom that allows you to remain more yourself in the middle of challenge. A freedom that allows you to see more clearly when others are clouded. A freedom that allows your nervous system, your mind, and your heart to return more quickly to coherence. And this coherence is not only for your own benefit, it blesses others. Because when a human being is less entangled in inner turbulence, they become safer to be near. Their words carry less distortion, their choices carry less unconscious force, their presence offers more room for truth and peace to appear. So the vastness of God is not merely a comforting idea. It is a living reality that, when consciously welcomed, refines the quality of your participation in the world. It makes you less reactive, more discerning, less fragmented, more whole. And to go deeper still, you must understand this. Wholeness does not mean you will feel perfect. It means you are no longer abandoning yourself each time something uncomfortable arises. You remain, you stay present, you keep listening, you keep softening where softness is true. You keep standing in truth where truth is needed. This is mature spiritual steadiness. It is not fragile, it is not theatrical, it is not dependent on always feeling serene. It is the growing ability to remain inwardly related to what is deepest, even while the surface of life continues to move. And over time, beloved, this creates a profound simplification within you. Less inner argument, less grasping, less fear that you are separate, lost, or unsupported. Because at greater depth, you begin to feel, quietly but unmistakably, that you live inside a reality far more intelligent, loving, and coherent than the human mind usually perceives. And from that recognition, daily life changes. Even washing dishes can become participation. Even waiting in traffic can become practice. Even speaking to a stranger can become an expression of the atmosphere you carry. Nothing is too small. Because once you begin to live in this way, you see that every moment is happening within the same infinite field of God. There are no spiritually empty moments. There are only moments more noticed and moments less noticed. So go gently, beloved, but go deeply. Not by trying to force depth, but by becoming more sincere in attention, more honest in self-observation, more willing to pause, more willing to return. And as this becomes your way, you will discover something very beautiful. The vastness of God does not make your humanity less intimate. It makes it more sacred. It reveals that this ordinary human life, this breath, this body, this day, this choice, this conversation, has been taking place all along inside something immeasurably holy. And once that begins to be felt, not merely thought, you walk differently, you speak differently, you choose differently, you live differently. Not because you are trying to become spiritual, but because you are becoming more aligned with what has always been true. You have never been outside the vastness of God. You have only been learning how to recognize it, trust it, and embody it here.